The airplane cut through the clouds like a silver arrow, carrying an American traveler named Ethan Carter, who thought he already knew what to expect. All his life he heard the same things about the Philippines. It's poor, it's broken. Why would you go there? Those words followed him from the airport in Los Angeles all the way to the sky above the Pacific Ocean. People laughed at his plan to travel alone. They asked if he was looking for trouble or pity. Ethan didn't argue because he believed them, or at least he thought he did. But as the plane began its descent, something inside him whispered, "What if you are wrong?" He pushed the thought aside. He pressed his face against the cold window. He waited for the poor country everyone talked about. He had no idea that the truth waiting for him would tear his assumptions apart. The doors opened, a warm gust of air rushed in, sweet, humid, alive. Ethan stepped out expecting chaos and brokenness. But instead, he froze. Bright lights, clean floors, smiling workers, families holding welcome signs, overseas workers crying as they hugged loved ones. Nothing felt poor. He looked around in confusion. This wasn't what people told him. Maybe it was just the airport. Maybe things would change outside. He dragged his luggage into the sunlight, bracing himself. But the moment he stepped out, Manila hit him like a wave. Cars honked. Highways roared. Glass towers stretched into the sky. Giant screens lit the buildings. Workers hurried with purpose. It overwhelmed him. Where was the misery? The broken streets? The hopeless faces? He tried to find them. He waited for them. But the city refused to match the story he had been told. And for the first time on his trip, Ethan felt doubt. He entered a taxi. The driver, a cheerful man with tired eyes, greeted him. "Good afternoon, sir. First time in the Philippines?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah, I've heard a lot of things." The driver raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. People said we are poor?" Ethan looked down. "Yeah." The driver didn't get angry. He didn't argue, he simply smiled. "Sir," he said softly, "many people talk, but few people see." As they drove, Ethan watched the streets. Children selling snacks, offices filled with workers, students in uniforms, construction sites rising, street vendors laughing with customers. No one looked defeated. At a red light, he saw a small boy hand bread to an old woman who wasn't even related to him. No money, no expectation, just kindness. That image stuck in Ethan's mind like a thorn. Why is a child with so little able to give something away? Almost as if reading his thoughts, the driver said, "Here, we share even when it hurts." "That is who we are," Ethan nodded slowly. Something inside him shifted. The next day, Ethan left the comfort of his hotel. He wanted to see the real Philippines. Everyone said that outside the city was where he would witness the truth. He expected dirt roads, broken houses, and hopeless faces. Instead, he found life. He walked into a neighborhood full of noise and color. Kids ran barefoot on warm pavement. Mothers cooked in open kitchens. Sari-sari stores played pop music. Teenagers argued over basketball fouls. The moment they saw Ethan, they waved. "Kuya, hello, Americano. You want to play?" Ethan laughed. "You don't want me on your team. I'm bad. Try only." They insisted, and they dragged him into the game. The court was cracked, the rim bent, the ball patched with tape. But the energy, the excitement, the pure joy, it was richer than anything Ethan had ever seen. Kids cheered for both sides. A Lola gave him ice-cold water. A tricycle driver shouted, "Shoot it, bro!" "Make Manila proud!" Ethan shot. He missed horribly. Everyone exploded in laughter, including him. He sat down on the curb afterward, exhausted but happy. A teenager beside him said, "People call us poor. But look, we smile every day. We help each other. We live together." Ethan swallowed hard. He had no answer, because deep inside he realized something. These people lived with less, yet felt more alive than anyone he knew back home. Ethan decided to explore farther, beyond the noise of Manila. He traveled to a province where mountains stood like giants guarding the land. Coconut trees whispered in the wind. The sea glittered like it swallowed the sun. He stepped onto the beach and gasped. The water was so clear he could see fish swimming near his feet. He whispered to himself, "How can a place the world calls poor look like this?" An old fisherman walking by chuckled, because people judge by money, not by heart. Ethan listened to the fisherman's stories, stories of storms destroying homes, stories of families rebuilding together, stories of kindness passed down like treasure. And then the old man said, "We are not rich in money, but we are rich in courage. And courage is harder to earn." Those words hit Ethan like a wave. The world misunderstood the Philippines, but the Philippines understood itself. One afternoon, dark clouds gathered fast. A storm rolled in like a warning. Rain slammed the earth. Winds shook the trees. Ethan ran for shelter with a group of locals. He expected panic, fear, chaos. But what he saw instead shocked him. A woman held an umbrella over a stranger. A group of men helped push a jeepney stuck in the mud. Kids laughed and ran barefoot under the rain. A vendor protected another vendor's cart. No one waited for help. No one complained. Everyone moved together, like one family. Ethan stood frozen. In his country, storms brought anger. Here, storms brought unity. A man beside him said, "Storms visit us many times, but every time they come, we learn to stand together again." Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. He realized something powerful. Strength is not about having everything. Strength is about surviving everything. On his last week, Ethan visited a small public school. The classrooms were simple. The chairs were old. But the students' eyes were bright. When the teacher introduced him, the kids waved excitedly. A little girl raised her hand. "Sir Ethan, people in America think we are poor." Ethan hesitated. Silence filled the room. "Yes," he finally said. "Many think that." The girl lowered her eyes, but she lifted them again with a brave smile. "We may be poor in money, but we are rich in dreams." Her words pierced him. The teacher added, "Our people work hard for a future they believe in." Ethan felt tears threatening. He had come to this country with stereotypes. Now those stereotypes were dying right in front of him. Ethan's last night in the Philippines was quiet. He stood at a viewpoint overlooking the glowing city. The lights stretched far into the distance like stars on earth. He thought of everything he saw, the kindness, the strength, the unity, the laughter, the storms, the families, the courage of a nation the world underestimated. He whispered, "I thought the Philippines was poor, but the reality shocked me," because he finally understood. The Philippines is not an underdog because it is weak. It is an underdog because the world does not know its true power. But Ethan knew, and he would never forget. When he returned to America, his friends crowded around him. "So how was the Philippines? Poor like they say?" Ethan looked at them for a long moment. Then he smiled, a smile full of truth. "You have no idea," he said. "The Philippines is one of the richest places I have ever seen." They laughed, thinking he was joking, but he wasn't. Because he knew something they didn't. Richness is not always money. Sometimes richness is kindness. Sometimes it is courage. Sometimes it is hope, and the Philippines has all of that. Late at night, Ethan opened his journal and wrote, "The world was wrong, and so was I. The Philippines is not poor. It is powerful, it is brave, it is full of light, and the people, they are the strongest I have ever met." He closed the book. He looked at his plane ticket for next year. He knew he was coming back, because one trip was not enough for a country like the Philippines. And with a full heart he whispered, "Mahal kita, Pilipinas." And as Ethan closed his journal, he understood something deeper, something he wished the whole world could see. The Philippines was never weak. It was never broken. It was never poor. It was simply misjudged. A nation full of strength, soul, and stories the world has not heard yet. Stories that deserve to be told. Stories that change minds. Stories that open hearts. And if you, the viewer, want to hear more stories like this, stories of culture, resilience, hidden truths, and powerful narratives from around the world, then make sure you subscribe to Holistic News Expo, because this is just the beginning. More journeys, more discoveries, More truths the world has ignored. So click subscribe, join the community, and never miss the stories that matter.